This is a technical challenge that strikes fear in many pianists' hearts.
All the things, when they're learned correctly from rotation on, once they're there, when you go to a new piece of music, you don't rework it.
And if you all want to learn how to rotate immediately, this is what you do.
If you've been playing piano for a while, you've probably heard quite a lot about rotation. That mysterious motion that pianists talk about as if it's some kind of holy grail of piano playing. Well, today we're going to demystify this concept and show you some concrete strategies for how you can incorporate it into your playing already today. This is a handful of insights on rotation from the Tonebase Premium platform. Each of these incredible musicians has their own particular perspective on this technique, but they're all pointing towards the same goal: increasing freedom, efficiency, and flexibility in your piano playing. There are just a couple days left to take advantage of Tonebase Premium's Cyber Week sale, the best deal of the year. You'll get immediate access to the full versions of the lessons you'll see in this video, as well as hours and hours more content on all of your favorite piano pieces. So if you enjoy this deep dive into rotation, Tonebase Premium might just be the next step you need in upgrading your playing. Now, without further ado, let's rotate our focus back to the masters.
So another pro tip is get a mirror. If you're a beginner, set it up. Take a look at your shoulder being relaxed and lowered, your elbow being just a little under the keys, if not at the keys. You have a few inches of wiggle room, I think, is totally fine in this ballpark. And then going along, we now get to our wrist. And so here we want to think about what to do with that. So sometimes I see people with a high wrist, low wrist. Again, we want to keep things simple at the piano. We're trying to create the most ergonomic shape to perform the tasks in front of us. So the wrist basically just wants to be neutral. We basically just want it to be flat, and we want there to be one alignment in the arm right here. So when I'm playing, the wrist can be very supple. It can rotate. You can kind of have a little bit of flexion, but we're kind of orbiting around this exact position, give or take. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to have, at all costs, my elbows behind my hands. This is in alignment. This is not very much in alignment. You can't really, I'm gonna demonstrate here, you can't really play the piano like this, but I could play it a little bit better like this. So you can see how my elbow is what's really going to be, again, bringing my hands across the keys. One of the biggest beginning mistakes I see is people that try to stretch for different keys, you know, instead of just moving their body from the hip. When we get down to the actual hand, we want to think about a very simple way to get the hand position. I'm sure many of you may have heard this, but you take your knee, you just cup it with your hand, and you go to the piano, and you've basically got a pretty good hand position. Because what's happening here is that you're forming a nice curvature of the finger to the knuckle. It's being supported. It's not too flat. We don't want the hand to be flat. It's very hard to play when it's in that position. We want a little bit of spring to that, you know, not flat, a little bit of spring. So again, one of the things that I do, even just to check in with myself sometimes, is just, you know, pretty much use my knee as that sounding point for hand position.
Now, when we speak about rotation, we mustn't get confused, because every part of the body rotates. The leg rotates in both directions. The arm rotates in both directions. Every finger rotates in both directions. The head rotates in both. None of that has to do with rotation. Rotation means the two bones in the forearm. And if you all want to learn how to rotate immediately, this is what you do. Pretend that you're putting a key in the door and turn the key. See? You're rotating. So there are two bones here called the radius and the ulna. And when the hands are lying on your side, those two bones are parallel to each other. When you lift your arms to play the piano like this, they crisscross. See? And rotating at the piano consists of being in this position and rolling back to this position.
So we're aiming for a very free, relaxed rotation that you can put into practice in any of your pieces of music. Go as far as you feel comfortable with. I'm going as far as the octave. People with smaller hands can go to the seventh. People with larger hands can go further. So we just start with doing a rotation on the 5 and 1 and get that going really comfortably. And then we'll extend to the 6th and then to the 7th. And if you find that one of those is causing your elbow or your arm to tense up, then come back and just stick with the 5th or the 6th or whatever feels really, really comfortable for you. So, and you can do the same in the left hand. Just start with the 5th and get that going really comfortably. And then extend out to the 6th. And then extend to the 7th. And then when you come to the octave, keep that elbow really soft.
I also described it in terms of when we stand. If you're standing and balancing on your left leg, you can move and manipulate your right leg.
I can pick up the right leg.
Right,
Yeah.
but it's not the left leg that's initiating the movements of the right leg.
Right.
So pedagogically speaking, we have to stimulate the forearm. And the only way to do it is to have people pivot on the standing finger. This kind of stimulates this movement because very few people can feel something more refined immediately. And what I would say is you get to 2. Now, when you lift 3, 4, and 5, what I would ask you to do is continue this motion, but coordinate it with the hand and forearm. So the hand and the forearm, when you lift the fingers, are turning counterclockwise. When they drop the finger, they're turning clockwise. Up, down should be the same as counterclockwise, clockwise, counterclockwise, clockwise. See if you can do that. There will be a slight tapping feeling in the fingers. Good, I want to get on the other side.
Sure.
So the first thing is I would like to take a little bit of this twisting out. You see, when the thumb, what we was talking about in the lecture, when the thumb is positioned on the instrument, this is a little bit twisted. And that twisting doesn't allow this to be as free as when it's here.
Okay.
You feel the difference?
Yes.
Okay. So now let's play 2. Right. And you went there. Yeah. And when you get there, it's just over. So there's no sort of checking it or
Right.
yeah. Just like, now you also do something which we all do. You're positioning these fingers over the notes that you think
Right.
you're
I
gonna
think
go
I'm
to.
gonna play. Yeah.
Exactly.
But I don't have to do that.
You don't have to do that. You don't have to do that. Now, can you feel the difference when you're in this position with those fingers not stretched? So let's play 2 again. That's great. You see, they want to be
I feel
on
more
there.
centered on the second finger.
Exactly.
Yeah.
When you're like this, although it's not a huge distance away, you are not really on your second
Interesting,
finger.
yeah.
Yeah. So the whole purpose here, like Taubman used to say, my technique is very simple. You play one finger, one hand, one arm on every note at any given time. Okay, that's easier said than
Right.
done, but this is what's going on. The other thing is your contact point is very high towards the nail. What if you were here? That would be a more comfortable place and you would feel more solid. Okay. In this position, you have a much better chance now of minimizing this rotation. See, when the fingers are stretched, to feel the rotation, you're going to have to make it much bigger. So here, I want you to turn your hand and lift your fingers, lift and drop your fingers. That's right. So biomechanically, can you feel the difference?
Yes.
Okay. So you now take that and you shift it over to, that's very nice. Very nice. You went a little bit on the tip. I would go on the pad a little bit more and not anticipate these fingers. So your fingers want very much to go beyond where they're supposed to. You're only going to 3 like it's the end of the piece.
Right.
Good. Now, when you turn in this direction, you start from the fingers, which isolates the fingers a little bit from the hand and the forearm. So I do want to go back to the second finger. I just want to turn onto the 3. That's it. Much better. So see, this was the elbow accommodation I talked about. Turn to the 4. So you want to find 4 and 5.
I should initiate with the fingers and
No, I would like you to initiate from
with
here,
the
actually.
elbow. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm on 3.
Good. And then
So my 4 doesn't have to come up so high.
No,
Because I
it's not
remember
going
I remember when I was As a kid, I was like, all right, gotta rotate 4 and 5.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. There's no exaggeration needed here. You can go from 3, lift, and go to 4. Much better. It's even smaller than that when you think, yeah. And then, remember we talked about the releasing? I would work on these fingers, go to 4, releasing.
Okay.
See, there's no...
Just like I'm taking a step, and the
Yeah,
other
and
foot
the other
comes
fingers
up.
are releasing. And then try to aim for the center of the 4. That's it. Right. Make sure you have a knuckle here.
Yep.
Good. And then 4 going to 5. Much smaller motion of the 5. That's right. You don't...
Right. So then the hand comes with me. I don't
That's
just keep locked in a 5-finger position.
Right. You see, this is your automatic release of the finger.
Right.
You see, it happened very naturally, actually. I wasn't asking you to release, but it did it. Because that's what's supposed to happen in a natural technique.
In my experience, the first and second fingers, or the first and third fingers, those are typically the best fingerings for trills. The reason being is there's actually a natural rotation built into the hand with the thumb. Because you'll see, if I'm playing my first and second finger together, you'll actually see the hand is slightly shaking. It kind of goes back to that concept of the Baroque style of trills being shakes. If I play with my second and third fingers, which are very common with many students and performers, but for me, not as appealing and a little bit less strong as using the thumb. The issue there with the second and third finger is that there's less rotation being introduced into the hand, and as a result, I have to slightly myself add a small amount of micro rotation to allow the fingers not to get stuck. Because again, one of the biggest issues with most people is they trill, their fingers get locked up, and they kind of get stuck in the key. And to really alleviate that, that's where that shaking, that rotation comes into play.
Another example of needing to sound legato but not being able to connect physically is in playing octaves. Often the fingering suggested is to use 3, 4, 5 in order to connect, but those fingerings cause stretching, twisting, which are two of the, I would say, main reasons for injuries. And that is true for everybody. It's not that some people will get injured and some people will not. It could be that some people get more injured and some people less, but they will be in pain. Octaves cannot be connected. I know that people fight over it, and people can do whatever they want. We can still be friends. I would say that. But when we use 1-5, we don't stretch and we don't twist. And there are people who've lost their careers while playing octaves with 1-3, 1-4, 1-5 to make it connected. Doesn't sound connected, but somehow we don't feel guilty when we don't do it. If the hand is big enough, to play the black keys and it feels as good as the 5, sure, as long as you don't stretch and you don't twist. Two of the most common reasons for injuries. I'm doing it all with 1-5, and that's also when you play how to play octaves, chords, and bring a different sound. What if I wanted to bring the thumb? I'm still balanced equally over both, but there is a way to release a little bit more weight. It's not like leaning on it. The main rule is you have to always have equal amount of support. Support sometimes is a better word than weight. Weight allows for the support, but the feeling of support behind. But when I want to sing a little bit more, I have learned how to drop a little bit more into that finger. I know that it's a little bit of weight and a little bit of speed.